Welcome to East and West Shared Stories, where cultures meet, collide, and connect. Weddings are more than just a celebration of love. They are a mirror of values, heritage, and cultural identity. Today, we dive deep into 5 shocking differences between Eastern and Western wedding traditions, enriched with symbolic meaning, personal experiences, and fascinating historical context. This isn't just about what people wear or what they eat. It is about how culture shapes love. Difference 1. The proposal, private pacts versus public promises in the West. A proposal is often a cinematic moment. A man on one knee, a sparkling ring, maybe a flash mob or surprise picnic. It's heartfelt, dramatic, and often quite public. In contrast, the East emphasizes discretion, tradition, and family structure. In places like Vietnam, a marriage proposal may be initiated through the LSDMing, a formal meeting between the two families to express intent. It's followed by LS&Hi, an engagement ceremony with symbolic gifts. In one interview, a Vietnamese bride said, "There was no surprise. We both knew we wanted to marry. What mattered was our families agreeing." That's when it felt real. In the West, personal freedom and spontaneity are key. In the East, it's about respect, ancestry, and alignment of two family trees. Difference 2. Attire, minimalist elegance versus symbolic splendor. Let's talk fashion. In the West, it's the classic white wedding dress, a tradition dating back to Queen Victoria. White symbolizes purity, and the tuxedoed groom in black complements this with formality and sophistication. But in the East, attire is a story in itself. In Vietnam, brides wear red dye, an elegant silk dress fitted to perfection. Red is the color of luck and celebration. In Korea, couples wear hanbok, flowing robes in pastel shades, symbolizing grace and balance. In Japan, the bride may don a white kimono to symbolize purity, later changing into a vibrant irouchi kaki to welcome joy and fertility. In India, brides shimmer in red or gold saris or lehengas, each piece hand-embroidered and layered with symbolism. These garments aren't just beautiful, they carry legacy, stitching together generations of heritage, from fabric to form. One Korean mother said, "When I dressed my daughter in hanbok, it was like I was dressing her in the spirit of our ancestors." The contrast? West. Simplicity, elegance, personal choice. East. Layers of meaning, family honor, collective pride. Difference 3. The ceremony. Personal vows versus sacred rituals. Western weddings often take place in a single day. The couple walks down the aisle, exchange rings, read vows, kiss, and then party the night away. The tone is romantic, personal, emotional. But in the East, weddings are multi-day spiritual journeys. Take Vietnam, the ceremony. Personal vows versus sacred rituals. Western weddings often take place in a single day. The couple walks down the aisle, exchange rings, read vows, kiss, and then party the night away. The tone is romantic, personal, emotional. But in the East, weddings are often multi-day spiritual journeys, rich with tradition, family values, and ancestral reverence. Let's take a closer look at Vietnamese wedding culture, where the ceremony is not just one event, it's a sequence of deeply symbolic rituals, beginning long before the actual wedding day. Step 1. LSDMing, the pre-engagement meeting in the warm light of a traditional Vietnamese home. Two families come together for a sacred and respectful ritual, the LSDMing, or the pre-engagement meeting. The groom's family arrives, led by an elder man in a deep blue brocade dye. With solemnity and grace, he carries a small symbolic gift as they are welcomed by the bride's family, dressed elegantly in red and gold. This first meeting isn't just a formality, it's a declaration of sincere intention. It is the moment where two families begin to bond, long before the wedding day itself. Inside, the atmosphere is quiet, sacred, and full of anticipation. Both families are seated facing one another. Trays of gifts are placed gently on the table. Red silk covers reveal tea leaves, fresh fruits, betel nuts, and sweet pastries. The bride and groom sit quietly beside their parents, showing utmost respect. Between them, the air is filled with unspoken emotion, not just between two young people in love, but between generations connecting. As tradition calls, the elder man from the groom's family stands up and offers the formal words of proposal. With humble tone and steady voice, he expresses their family's wish to ask permission for their son to marry the bride. It is a moment of honor, not only for the groom's side, but also for the bride's family, who now receives this respectful and heartfelt gesture with smiles and nods. In response, the bride's mother gently lifts a red-covered tray, returning part of the gifts, a symbol of mutual respect and balance. This act, known as "fan la laisse," is subtle but profound. It says, "We accept this proposal. With humility, we return a portion as a sign of goodwill." It is these gestures, not grand speeches, that speak most powerfully in Vietnamese tradition. Now united in understanding, both families share tea in a calm, peaceful moment. The bride and groom raise their cups, surrounded by smiles. Conversations soften, laughter begins, and formality gives way to connection. Though the wedding day is still to come, a bond has already been sealed, not just between two people, but between two lineages. Now united in understanding, both families share tea in a calm, peaceful moment. The bride and groom raise their cups, surrounded by smiles. Conversations soften, laughter begins, and formality gives way to connection. Though the wedding day is still to come, a bond has already been sealed, not just between two people, but between two lineages. Outside, red banners flutter in the breeze, welcoming guests to a home filled with tradition, warmth, and hope. The ceremonies may be quiet and simple on the surface, but beneath it lies a rich cultural foundation. It reminds us that marriage is not just about love. It is about family, respect, and the harmony of two souls rooted in community. To Western audiences, this might feel like a formal version of meeting the parents. But in Vietnam, ceremonies is the first official step toward marriage. It's where the groom's family visits the bride's home, bringing symbolic gifts such as tea, fruit, or betel leaves. This ceremony serves to introduce the two families in a respectful, ceremonial setting, express the groom's family's intention to ask for the bride's hand in marriage, begin discussions about engagement and future wedding plans. It's not yet an engagement, but rather a declaration of respect, signaling that the relationship is serious and aligned with family values. One Vietnamese father described it as opening the door between two families with kindness, tradition, and intention. Step 2. LS and High. The engagement ceremony, once both families agree, they proceed to the LS and High, the formal engagement ritual. Unlike Western-style proposals, this isn't a surprise, down on one knee moment. It's a public ceremonial declaration with full participation from both families. Here's what happens. The groom's family arrives in a grand procession, carrying gift trays, mam quo, covered in red cloth, a symbol of luck. These trays include items such as betel leaves and areca nuts, symbols of marital harmony, tea, wine, sticky rice cakes, jewelry, and gold for the bride. A roasted pig, often whole, representing abundance and honor. The number of trays is typically even -6, 8, 10, as even numbers represent balance and prosperity. The bride's family receives the gifts, but returns a portion of them, a gesture of humility and mutual respect. Then, the families set the wedding date, and the couple is officially engaged. It's a powerful symbol of unity, not just between two people, but between two clans, lineages, and histories. A Vietnamese bride once said, "In the LS on High, I didn't just feel engaged, I felt part of something much older than myself." Now contrast that with Western ceremonies, where personal vows and individual love stories take the spotlight. You'll often hear lines like, "I choose you. Through every season, through every joy and sorrow, I choose to walk beside you." Then comes the ring exchange, the first kiss, and the magical first dance, a beautifully choreographed symbol of two lives becoming one. The contrast is striking. In the West, the ceremony is personal, emotional, and modern. In the East, the ceremony is ancestral, symbolic, and multi-layered, woven from centuries of cultural values. But both are beautiful. Both mark the transformation of two people into a new shared identity, just through very different lenses. The LSGA is one of the most sacred parts, a ceremony where the couple bows before the family altar, offering incense and prayers to deceased ancestors, asking for blessings. Then comes the Ellis Races Do, where the groom's family arrives with symbolic gifts: betel leaves, tea, sticky rice, and roast pig. One elder from northern Vietnam told us, "When we carry the roast pig, we carry tradition. We're not just asking for a bride, we're promising to honor her." In China, the tea ceremony is vital. The couple serves tea to parents and elders, receiving red envelopes and blessings in return. Meanwhile, in Western weddings, you hear vows like, "I promise to grow with you, laugh with you, and love you for all my days." Then comes the first dance, a moment of intimacy in front of a crowd, symbolizing unity and rhythm in the journey ahead. Western ceremonies focus on the couple's personal story. Eastern ceremonies connect that story to ancestral roots. Difference 4. Gifts, red envelopes, gold, and surprising stories. In the West, gifts come in the form of registry items, espresso machines, tableware, and maybe a fancy blender. But in the East, gifting is deeply symbolic. In Chinese and Vietnamese weddings, red envelopes, bao li ji, are given, usually with money ending in 8 for luck, and never in 4, which sounds like death in Chinese. One Chinese aunt explained, "We don't just give money. We give asterisk fortune, security, and a message. You are loved and supported." In Indian weddings, guests gift gold jewelry, sometimes worth thousands of dollars. Gold is both a blessing and a form of long-term financial protection for the bride. A Vietnamese guest once shared her first experience at an American wedding. "I brought cash. Everyone else brought toasters and hand towels. I thought I came to the wrong kind of party." West, practicality, individuality. East, prosperity, symbolism, and community investment. Difference 5. Food and post-wedding life. From banquets to honeymoons in Western weddings, food is elegant and plated. A 3-course meal, carefully selected wines, and the legendary wedding cake, often multi-tiered, symbolizing abundance. But in the East, the feast is a culinary celebration of symbolism. In Vietnam, you may see 8 to 12 dishes, representing prosperity, longevity, fertility. Dishes like steamed fish, spring rolls, sticky rice with lotus seeds, all hold spiritual meaning. In China, noodles symbolize long life, duck represents fidelity, and sweet lotus paste indicates harmony. It's not just food, it's blessings in edible form. And then comes the post-wedding experience. In the West, the couple often goes on a honeymoon, a romantic getaway to start their new chapter. But in many Eastern cultures, the bride returns to the groom's home and takes on the role of Do Mgi, the new daughter-in-law. It's a position that carries respect, but also responsibility, helping with household duties, caring for in-laws, and upholding family traditions. A Vietnamese bride once said, "I felt more nervous about becoming a daughter-in-law than becoming a wife." In the West, marriage begins a new independent unit. In the East, marriage integrates you into an existing legacy. So East or West, which is better? That's not the right question. The real question is, how does culture shape love? Because at its heart, a wedding isn't about the dress or the food or the number of guests. It's about storytelling. It is about how two people choose to honor each other and how they honor those who came before them. Whether you're exchanging vows under a white arch or bowing before ancestors in a red eau dye, whether you're dancing to Ed Sheeran or pouring tea with trembling hands, your wedding is your story, and your story matters. Because even though we all fall in love, the way we honor that love, the way we celebrate it, and the way we carry it through time, that, my friend, is where cultures truly begin to speak. And today, we invite you to witness one of the most deeply symbolic, multi-layered journeys of love from Southeast Asia. A wedding story, not told in a single day, but in a series of sacred moments. This is the story of a Vietnamese couple, bound not just by love, but by tradition, ancestry, and the unshakable connection between two families. In Vietnam, marriage is not just a celebration. It's a passage, a journey, a thread that weaves the past and the future into the present. And unlike many Western weddings, which often begin with a proposal and end with "I do," Vietnamese weddings unfold across multiple ceremonies, each with its own purpose, symbolism, and meaning. Today, we will walk you through three major stages of a traditional Vietnamese union. LSDM Ging, the first formal meeting between families LS, and Hai, the engagement ceremony with symbolic offerings LSCCI. The wedding day itself, with ancestral rites and public celebration. Every story of love has a beginning. In the West, it might begin with a proposal, a diamond ring, a sunset kiss. But in Vietnam, love begins with a meeting of families. Before the rings, before the vows, before the bride wears red or white, there is something quieter, simpler, but deeply meaningful. LSDM Ga, the first formal meeting between families, it's called LSDM Ging, the very first step in the traditional Vietnamese wedding journey. Approaching the bride's home, on a calm morning, the groom's family prepares a respectful visit to the bride's home. Not the entire family, just the groom himself, his parents, and sometimes a trusted elder known as Anh Mai or Ba Mai, the matchmaker or family representative. There is no ceremony yet. No drums, no crowds, no decorations, only sincerity. This visit is quiet and symbolic, but it speaks volumes. It is the moment when the groom's family formally says, "We are serious. We wish for this union to move forward with your blessing." The ceremonial gifts in Vietnamese tradition, words are never spoken empty-handed. The groom's family brings with them a simple tray of gifts, chosen with care and meaning. 2 boxes of green tea, a symbol of clarity and respect. 2 bottles of rice wine, for warmth, celebration, and ancestral connection. 1 beautiful ceramic wine bottle with 2 small cups, used to pour a welcome drink for the bride's parents. These are not extravagant gifts, but they are enough. Enough to say, "We respect your daughter, we honor your family, and we ask to be welcomed, not only as guests, but as future kin." The conversation. When the groom's family arrives, they are welcomed into the bride's home with quiet smiles and bows. No loud greetings, just formal introductions and soft words. Tea is served. Then, the wine brought by the groom's family is opened and poured by the matchmaker, or sometimes the groom's father. A small toast is offered to the bride's parents. A nod, a thank you, and then they talk. Not about romance or feelings, but about the future, about respect, compatibility, family history, life values. In many ways, this is where the true foundation of a Vietnamese marriage begins. Because here, in this intimate room, 2 families begin their journey together, not just the couple. These 3 events form the core of what many Vietnamese families across the country share, a nationwide cultural foundation. But within that shared tradition, there are also rich regional differences. A wedding in the north may carry a tone of elegance and formality, while one in the south may emphasize warmth, music, and celebration. And in the central regions, ancient customs blend with poetic symbolism in every gesture. Through this journey, we'll also pause to reflect on how these Vietnamese rituals compare and contrast with Western wedding traditions. In Western culture, engagements often happen between two people, romantic, private, emotional. But in Vietnamese tradition, the engagement begins with community, with families, with rituals, with quiet gestures that echo centuries of tradition. LSDM Eng may seem simple, but to Vietnamese families, it is everything. It is the moment that love becomes recognized, not just by hearts, but by homes. In the West, we see personal vows, honeymoons, and first dances. In the East, we find ancestor altars, red envelopes, and multi-generational tea ceremonies. Neither is better. Neither is lesser. They're simply different, and in those differences, we discover the vast, beautiful ways that humans have chosen to honor love. And once both families feel ready, once the wine has been poured, the tea has been served, and the intentions made clear, the bride's family offers their acceptance, sometimes through words, sometimes through nothing more than a smile. The groom's family returns home, and preparations begin for the next step, the official engagement ceremony known as Ellis and High, where offerings, symbolism, and tradition come alive. If Alus Diem Ning is the whisper, then Ellis and High is the declaration, a promise made between families, now spoken aloud before the ancestors and the community. Choosing the date, the harmony of heaven and earth in the West. Engagements can happen spontaneously. A ring hidden in a desert, a surprise by the ocean, a yes captured on camera. But in Vietnam, the engagement, Laos and Hai, begins not with a ring, but with a calendar. Families from both sides consult a Thai Zamming Gay, a master of traditional astrology, to select a day where the heavenly elements of the bride and groom align. Through the ancient system of Ung Han, the 5 elements, metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, are compared and matched, based on birth dates, zodiac years, and ancestral energies. The chosen date must be one where yin and yang are balanced, where the stars smile gently upon this new bond. Only once this auspicious day is agreed upon by both families does the engagement truly begin. The engagement procession, trays of symbolism on the morning of La San Hai. The groom's family prepares a grand procession, not just a visit, a display of honor, sincerity, and tradition. Dressed in elegant odai, the groom, his relatives, and a team of young men carry beautifully decorated red lacquered trays, known as Mam Kui. Each tray contains symbolic offerings wrapped in red silk, and for the husband and wife cakes, for loyalty and fidelity, wine and tea, for harmony and communication. Betel leaves and areca nuts, a time-honored symbol of courtship jewelry or gold, to honor the bride's worth. An envelope of cash, a tradition called Enchip tea, a monetary contribution to the bride's family, symbolizing respect and helping with wedding costs to come. This is not a bride price. It is a gift, a gesture of sincerity, a way of saying, we do not come empty-handed. We come ready to share, to support, to celebrate. While the groom's side brings the LSVAT, the engagement offerings, it is the bride's family who hosts the event. A generous meal is prepared, full trays of traditional dishes, meant to welcome the guests, honor the ancestors, and affirm the joy of union. In rural areas, neighbors may gather to help. In urban weddings, professional caterers may take over. But always, the spirit remains the same: hospitality, harmony, honor. And once the trays are accepted, once the elders exchange words of respect, the engagement is sealed, not with a kiss, but with tea, food, and community. In the West, An engagement is often about the couple. A ring on a finger, a picture on social media, a private moment shared with the world. But in Vietnamese tradition, lesson high is about the families becoming one. There may be no diamond ring, but there is gold. There are offerings. There is deep symbolism. And most of all, there is time. Time spent together. Time spent honoring ancestors. Time spent ensuring that the path ahead is not just romantic, but righteous. And as the trays are opened, as the food is shared, as laughter begins to rise under the red canopies of tradition, the couple now stands not as lovers, but as two members of a shared family. The engagement is complete. And now, the greatest day awaits. The wedding, les CCI. The final sacred step where love is witnessed. By heaven, by earth, by all. The air is filled with quiet joy. This is the day that so many moments have led to. From whispered intentions at the DM Jing, to promises exchanged in the Unhigh. Now comes the moment when two souls, two families, two histories, become one, the wedding offerings, jewelry, and honor. On the morning of the wedding, the groom's family once again brings ceremonial trays to the bride's house. But this time, among the offerings of tea, fruit, and betel leaves, is something deeply personal. A box of jewelry, sparkling gold, bracelets, earrings, and a necklace, carefully prepared by the groom's family for the bride. These are not just gifts. They are symbols of welcome, of commitment, and of pride. In Vietnamese culture, adorning the bride with jewelry is a way for the groom's family to say, "You are one of us now. We honor you as our daughter." The jewelry ceremony, before the ancestors, as drums echo softly outside and guests settle into their seats. Inside the ancestral hall, a sacred moment unfolds. Before the family altar, surrounded by the incense smoke of generations, the bride stands still, her eyes lowered, her heart full. The mother of the groom, wearing a formal odai, gently lifts each piece of jewelry and places them, one by one, on her future daughter-in-law. The bracelet, the necklace, the earrings, not just gold, but grace. This is not a show of wealth. It is a gesture of trust, protection, and inclusion. All of this takes place under the watchful eyes of both families, and in the presence of the ancestors, whose altar stands silently behind them, bearing witness to this timeless ritual. Wine offering, a toast to the roots. The bride and groom now kneel side by side in front of the ancestral altar. In their hands, they hold small cups of rice wine, carefully poured into a ceramic set brought by the groom's family. With both hands, they raise the cups and offer them, not to each other, but to their parents seated before them. First to the bride's parents, then to the groom's. In this moment, they are not just saying thank you. They are saying, "We are ready to walk this new path, not alone, but with your blessing, your strength, and your legacy behind us." Cultural reflection. A wedding versus a ceremony of connection in the West. The wedding may center around vows between the couple. In Vietnam, it is the ancestors, the elders, the family, past and present, who are called upon first. It is not about "I do." It is about "we are." And with this sacred rite complete, the couple now prepares to leave the bride's home and begin their new journey together under a new roof. On the way to the groom's house, the sounds of music rise. The guests offer parting blessings. The bride steps gently into the car, her odai flowing like silk in the wind. And as the procession moves toward the groom's home, she carries with her not just flowers and jewelry, but the hopes of both families, hopes for harmony, for love, and for a life built on shared respect. After the bride has bid farewell to her parents, the bride's family receives the gifts but returns a portion of them, a gesture of humility and mutual respect. After gifts have been exchanged and promises made, She now arrives at her new home, the house of the groom's family. This moment marks not only a change in address, but a shift in her place in the world. A transition from daughter to daughter-in-law, from her parents' care, into the embrace of a new family. Li Jia Chung, paying respect to the groom's ancestors upon arriving. The first thing the couple must do is Li Jia Chung, literally translated as bowing to the family ancestors. In front of the ancestral altar, adorned with incense, photos, and offerings, the bride and groom kneel down and perform a series of formal bows, known as prostrations, symbolizing humility, respect, and acknowledgement of those who came before. In Vietnamese belief, ancestors are not gone. They are always present, watching, guiding, protecting. And so this bow is not ritual alone. It is a spiritual moment where the past blesses the future. Wine offering, honoring the groom's parents following the ancestral rites. The bride and groom turn to the groom's parents. With both hands, they present cups of rice wine, just as they did earlier for the bride's parents. This act, called Dang Ru Tra Nangdi, means offering wine to the parents. It is a formal gesture of gratitude, a way of saying, thank you for raising the man I love. Thank you for welcoming me into your home. In return, the parents bless the couple with soft words, warm smiles, and sometimes a red envelope, a token of love and good fortune. With all formalities complete, the atmosphere now shifts. Joy rises. Music begins. Guests gather around decorated tables for the wedding banquet, known as Tayak CCI, a celebration where laughter flows as freely as the food. Dishes arrive one after another. Steamed fish for prosperity, sticky rice for unity, bird's nest soup for luxury. It is not just a meal. It is a message. We share our joy with you. You are part of this happiness. Visiting the tables, a Vietnamese tradition of thanks. One of the most touching customs at a Vietnamese wedding is when the bride and groom walk from table to table, hand in hand, bowing and smiling to every guest. This is called Sai Siem An Ting Ban, personally thanking each group of guests. At every table, the couple receives blessings, kind words, warm laughter, and often red envelopes tucked discreetly into their hands. These are not just gifts. They are wishes. Wishes for a life of harmony, a home filled with laughter, and a love that lasts beyond lifetimes. Cultural reflection. A celebration of roots in the West. This part of the wedding might look like a party, dancing, toasts, and champagne. In Vietnam, it is no less joyful, but the joy is rooted in respect, in gratitude, in community. The bride is not just a woman in a beautiful dress. She is now a part of a family line, a link in the ancestral chain. And the groom is not just a man with a ring. He is now a protector, a partner, a bridge between past and future. And as the day turns to night, as the final guests offer their blessings, as the music fades, what remains is not just photographs or full bellies. What remains is the memory of a union built not on spectacle, but on tradition, reverence, and love. This is the Vietnamese wedding, a journey of souls, a meeting of families, a celebration of everything we carry and everything we pass on, across oceans and borders, through languages and customs, from east to west. We celebrate love in different ways. In the West, perhaps with a ring, a kiss, a vow whispered under the sky. In the East, perhaps with incense, ancestral blessings, and generations standing quietly behind a couple. The colors may change, the rituals may shift, the voices, the music, the pace, all may differ, but at the heart of it all is the same human longing, to belong, to live, to love. Whether it is a single-day ceremony in a cathedral or a multi-day journey through homes, altars, and offerings, what we honor is the same sacred bond, a promise, a partnership, a beginning. So whether you're wearing a white dress or a red odai, whether you're walking down an aisle or bowing before your ancestors, remember, it is not how we marry that defines us, but how deeply we choose to love. Thank you for walking with us through this Vietnamese wedding journey. May it open your heart to the beauty of differences and the universality of love. And now, from the incense-filled rooms of ancestral homes in Vietnam to a quiet field kissed by sunlight in the West, two weddings, two worlds. In one, we bow to our ancestors. In the other, we face the future. One speaks through ceremony, the other through vows. One begins with the family's voice, the other with the couple's promise. But both are love. Both are sacred. Both are a beginning. Maybe your love story carries the colors of East or West, or maybe it lives somewhere in between. Either way, it's yours, and that alone makes it beautiful. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If this story touched your heart, share it. Share your traditions, your memories, your stories, because only when we share do we truly understand. This is East and West Shared Stories, where culture is honored and love has no borders.